This is the midterm that we're having. This midterm this is a midterm practice, so learn this by heart because it's going to be almost identical. This will be a week from yesterday, and right now I'm just showing you that you can go to your Canvas website through Lassen College, and this shows a video that I did that was supposed to be for the first day of class, but I just got set up with the whole technology issue, so I'm hoping that that will move along more quickly. So let me pause there, see if I can edit some. Okay, we're back on track. I just moved forward a little bit to save some time. This is the video. You can't hear the sound, but that's because I'm recording this audio after the fact. Okay, let me pause it right there again. Okay, here you'll be able to see the homeworks. So this is the homework assignments within Canvas. And I'm still taking the grades over to this, migrating the grades over from Excel over to the sheet. So you'll be able to see your scores as well. The scores will probably come up next. Yeah, these will be the grades that I have yet to enter. I'm just getting the whole Canvas gradebook set up. So you'll be able to check it there. Okay, now this is how you actually get into the course. When you go through the login of the last, you'll see this, then you'll see the Superman, and then I got this Math 103 lecture. This shows the recorded lectures that I have in a new window. So if you click it, that was on the 24th, and then it'll start with this. All right, back to the actual midterm itself. So let's start solving these problems. First, I have a series of, this midterm is going to be cumulative, so I'm starting to make sure. So first I asked to see which is bigger, the 14/9 or the 5/3. And so that's what I'll do first. I'll show you how to do it. I do it using the half horn. Let me see. Okay, so let's see if we could find out which fraction is larger. And I'm obviously using what I call the half horn. The half horn is when you just crisscross and see which one's bigger. Okay, so let's start with that. There we go. Well, that's taking a while too, so let me pause it and I'll move it. All right, so here we start. I put the 4/9 and the 5/3, and I just do the crisscross, the part of the top part of the nose, I guess you could call it. So there we go, and that's easy enough now to compare which side is bigger. So all you do is multiply the 3 times the 4 and the 9 times the 5. And we'll see which is the biggest number. That will be the biggest fraction. So let's see. There we go. I got 45 and 12. So 5/3 will be larger, you see, than 4/9. So that's good. So the next problem is just subtract the two fractions. 5/3 minus 14/9. That's easy enough. We just do the complete nose now. The crisscross. Right? And so you're going to have 3 times 9, 9 times 5, and then 3 times 14. And that will always work too. So let's try it again. Take a look at that, and I see that ends up being, right, 27 and 45 minus 42. equals. And that's just a matter of, doing the math. So that shows that's the nose, that's the face. So anyhow, you can see that that's going to be 3 over 27. You see that? The next, okay, now in the next one, remember what of means. It means multiply. So I want them out 2/5 of 5/3 divided by 14/9. Now, order of operation, we do what's in parentheses. And how do we do this division of fractions? We whip it, right? But life's not fair, so you whip the second guy. And then when you flip it, this thing knocks out the top 2 symbols there and just leaves a dot, meaning multiply. And how do you multiply? We go skiing. So that'll be the next step here. So there we go. So the reason that's supposed to be a whip. the red thing there is whipping the second guy. So he's going to flip the 2/5, and then this is going to turn into multiplication after that flips. So that'll be times the 14/9. You see that? And now, skiing, you can ski with all 3 of them, right? So let me put here. Well, let's keep going. So now, that's all multiply. So we can give you a triple, a triple skiing, see it? Because it's all easy when it's multiply. So there, now you just figure out what that is. And that's the answer. So let's see. Continuing, we got, we're taking what division 6% means. It means 6 divided by 100, which is the same as 0.06. So, and remember, of means times. That's times. So now I just take 6 over 100 times 2. 2% is going to be just 2 times 12. Let me back that up a bit. All right, so now we just set it up. 6 over 100 times 2 over 1. And that's skiing. Right, so ski straight across. And you can see that that's going to be 2 over 100, which they're even numbers, so you can simplify. So you have 6 over 50. Looks like I didn't simplify it. 12 or 0.12. That's true. Okay, so now we're talking about moles. A mole is a unit of measurement. It counts so many atoms or molecules in a certain element. So chromium, 1 mole is to 15.966 grams. And now they want to know, okay, how many moles are in 250 grams of chromium? Well, you can set up a proportion, right? Because we're staying within the class of chromium. So if 1 is to 51, then, question mark is to 250 grams, see? So you know that the question mark is going to be in moles too. So we have moles over grams equals moles over grams, see? So the order's right. So this is pretty easy because in this case, to solve for question mark, I just have to multiply both sides by 250 grams. And you'll see that not only does the 250 divide out, but so does the units of grams on the right side. So 2 will be on the left side. So there you have it. So now I just multiply both sides by the 250 grams, right? And you'll see that we'll end up with meters equals meters. I mean, not meters, moles. Moles is to moles. So the grams and the 250 divide out. The other side, the units grams divides out. See it? So now I'm left with everything in terms of moles. So now I just have, 250 divided by Hold on a second. Here we go. Now, so that just ends up being what it is. So it's not a, you just divide 250 by 51.966, right? And that would be your alpha for that. So that ends. Okay, for the next problem, you can see that we're talking about Newton's second law of force is equal to mass times acceleration. And what is acceleration? It's a change in velocity. Velocity is speed, right? So mass is a kind of a unit of weight, but it's not affected by gravity. It's just the mass of a unit. And force, well, force equals mass times acceleration. I mean, acceleration would be actually the gravity. So hold on one sec. Okay, so we'll start a drawing, right? Let's see if we can figure out how these forces are working. Pause here. Here and here. Let me go back this way. Yeah. Okay. So here we go. I don't know if I'm paused or started. Oh, here it'll tell me. Just pause, resume. So if I want to pause it, it's paused. And let me stop here. Oh, let me go back. Certainly don't need that. And that's depends or dependent. Okay, let's see. Okay, I'm ready to stack the points up. There's the first coordinate. There's the next coordinate, and we know that one's the x column and one's the y column. So, and then the y column, the amount of steps it takes to get from -4 to 5, for example, is, you can think of it as a ladder, maybe going straight up and down. The other one's left and right. So that's capital Y and capital X. So I kind of gonna get an idea how this thing looks. Well, the first thing we do is got to find y equals mx plus b, and to find that, we have to look for the slope. To do the slope, we know that the y columns will be the amount of distance from -4 to 5. You see, that's going to be 9. And the distance from -1 to 3 is going to be 4, right? So the rise is 9 and the run is 4, so we know a slope already. So we can make the next, now we're just putting on these points. But the first point is -1, -4, and then the other one we have 3, 5. So that would be the graph of the line. Now we need the equation for that line. And that's y equals mx plus b. So there you go. And now let's see what's going on here. That's the form y equals mx plus b. But because we have these 2 points, we can figure, the rise over the run. So like I said, from -4 to 5, that's like 9, and from -1 to 3, that's like 4, right? That's the difference between the two. So there you have it. Now, here we go from 3 to r, rise over run. So now we have our slope. So we can put our slope right in there. Well, I mean where m is. Okay, so now I'm replacing 9/4. That is m. So now I'm going to put m over here. So that y equals mx plus b, and the y-intercept should be pretty easy to find out. When all else fails, how do I find that y-intercept? Well, I know that the point has to go through 3, 5, right? That's given to you. So now that I know that, I just have to solve for b. So I know it's going through 3, 5, so I can put the 3 and the 5 there. You see that? And then I could graph it. And that's how that works. Now I got to set y in x equals 0. Okay, here we go. So now I'm actually putting, this 3 is so I put in 9/4. Actually, looks like I put that backwards, didn't I? Y was 5. Oh, that's great. I got it turned around. So let's see my y-intercept. X is 3, not y. Okay, that's wrong. Sorry about that, I have a mistake. So instead of 3, it should be 5 and 3 here. So my y-intercept's going to be screwed up, but you know how to do it correctly, right? When you solve all that, I'm going to multiply it, so that's going to be wrong, because it looks to me like it's going to be close to, the y-intercept's close to 0 by this graph. But, yeah, unfortunately, I'm going to come up with the wrong y-intercept. Right now I'm multiplying both sides by 4, so that I have 12 over here. This is b. I'm trying to solve for b, which is my y-intercept. Well, you never know until you go through it slowly that you made a mistake. So, yeah, that's going to be right. But that's okay. Even though we got the equation for this wrong, we can still get the equation correct for the perpendicular and the parallel line of another point out here. Out here like -1 and whatever, 2 or 4, it doesn't matter. So I pick another point, and that's the one I want to have a line to go through that other point. It's parallel to this line, and then another line going through this outside point, which I haven't given you yet, for going perpendicular. So anyway, I'll have to give myself 5 points off my own grade. So let me advance forward. So let's go forward. Okay, let's check now. Okay, so this is the next one. Okay, now that I got the slope, intercept, so the main important point now is I give you a new point, -1, or -1, -4. I meant -1, 4. So scratch that little negative thing right there. Let me see. Okay, here's +2. Right, so that spot, you can mark it. You go down -1 and up 2, right? So at that point, I want to get another line parallel to that point right here. That point is -1, 2. So what do I know about the slopes? They have to have the same. Another line going through that point parallel to this will have to have the same slope as this guy. But we know what the slope is for this guy. For the black line is 9/4, so it must be the same for the blue line, given that they're parallel. So now I just write out a new equation, y equals mx plus b, for the parallel line. Okay. Okay, so here we go. Now I really, taking a look at the next line, I call those two little lines there, means y, the parallel one. It has its own slope, right? But it happens to be the same slope as the black line. So we're looking for this, the equation of the line in slope-intercept form for the blue line. And so now we know the slope, so I can replace the slope, right? Okay, so here we go. And now we have y equals, I probably should have done it in blue because it's the blue line, but same slope, right? So we know it's 9/4 x plus, well, and then again I have to use the information that goes through that dot over here, that 1 -1 plus 2. So that's nice. Anyhow, that takes us there, and so now I'm going to plug in the value of x and y, which is -1 and 2, into here, y. So y should be 2, and x should be -1. So we can stop that and go forward. All right, starting again. Now I'm going to put in a value of y, which is 2, and the other one's -1. And we can see that that's the parallel intercept, y-intercept, obviously is going to be up here instead of down here. So looks like I'm going to clear out the denominator. I'll multiply everything by 4. Makes it easier, I think. So I'll put the 4 there, but I have to do it also on the other side of the equation, both sides. One's going to be distributed, and the other one won't care. That 4 and 4 will divide out. So I'll move me with 8 equals, and there I have -9 plus 4b. So you can see now I'm going to add 9 to both sides, and I'm going to get 17. All right, 17 equals 4b parallel. That'll be the y-intercept for the parallel line. So now I can complete that equation because I know the slope and I know the intercept, which is going to be 17. Yeah, it'll be 17/4. So that'll be like 4 times, approximately 4 times 4 times 4 is 16. So It looks like 17/4 is the y-intercept, so now I have the equation for the line, complete line, right? It's up there, I'm drawing it in a blue line up there. It's y equals 9x, 9/4 x plus 17/4. Okay, so that's that one. Now, let's see what we can... Okay, so now we're ready to do the perpendicular one. And we have to realize that the perpendicular slope is equal to minus over the regular slope of the first line. We did this black line over here. So we know that to be true because this slope is going to be negative, right? So what you're going to do is flip it, basically, and take the inverse reciprocal. So that already sets us up with our slope for the the perpendicular line. Here the p means perpendicular, so basically I take 1 and I divide it by the slope, which is 9/4, right? And we whip it, the second guy, we flip it, and then you can see that it becomes multiplication. That stays the same. This doesn't, but this one will flip and becomes multiplication. So you can see what the perpendicular slope will be. It's going to be, well, it's going to be, let me see how I just go skiing now. I just multiply by going skiing. So I do, you see that that's going to be minus 4/9. That's it. So now I got y equals mx plus b, and for the perpendicular line, now I already know its slope because it's 1 over the reciprocal of the original slope. So now I can write that down. So now there you have it. I guess I went back a bit there. Let's see. Let me start this thing. Here it goes again. Hold on 1 second. Let me pause this. Okay, so here we go. Now I'm doing the same thing over and over. Y equals mx plus b. And then, so that's going to be equal to, and there it is. Notice the slope is minus 4/9 that we came up earlier. Now, and to find the y-intercept, we have to put this point in, this point that it's going through in, which is x minus 1, y is 2, in order to solve for this y-intercept. Now, this y-intercept is going down here, this way, crossing through, something like that, in order. And so there you have it. So now what I'm going to do is take the 2, put it in the y, and the minus 1, and put it in the x. So now I put in the 2, because that's from this point here, and then I'm going to put in the minus 1 BP, and now I have to just solve for the y-intercept for the perpendicular line. And you can see I'm going to multiply both sides by 9. Yeah, I can find out, just simplify the denominator by distributing on the right side. You have to distribute the 9 through. Yeah. So that's going to be 18 on the one side, and 4 plus 9b. Right, so that's 18 equals 4 plus 9 BP. That's the y-intercept for the perpendicular line. So subtracting 4, that's easy enough. That's 14 equals 9b perpendicular. And now we can write the complete third sentence. Since b is that, so then I can replace this BP here with this answer. And that way you'll see that it works out pretty good. So let's see what they do. Let me go back. Okay, there you have it. Now, there's the third equation for the green line. Y is, remember the slope is minus 4/9. And then we have calculated our Y-intercept for that line. And that's going to be, well, it's just 14/9, so you're going to add it to 14/9. Okay, and that's the three solutions that I'm looking for. So let's move ahead. All right, now we go on to the biology program or problem. So all of these will break down into word problems. Will break down to the total amount. Let's say the total amount split between the two accidents. You see that's 322 million gallons. Now we have to do a teeter-totter. So if you do a teeter-totter, you can say, oh, okay, so notice I've asked you to solve this one by substitution. So all you have to do is take your teeter-totter, which let's say x is the bigger one. Or if you want to say y, it doesn't matter as long as they're consistent. So if x is the bigger one, then, oh, well, anyway, you can write that as in a slope form intercept, you see. But I don't think it's helping right now because we don't really need it because I'm going to do substitution. So now I'm going to do my second line. My second line, I'm going to say, pick which one you think's bigger, and any of those two will be okay. So now I'm going to say x is the bigger one and y is the smaller one. So I have to do something that's less than the larger of the two. Oh. It's less than the larger of the two, so it says the smaller one released 54 gallons less than the larger. So what I have to do something to y to kind of get it balanced. So that tells me that I have to take y and add, right? I have to add this 54 million. Now, for the simpler one, you just take x and stuff it over into your x. Not into its own equation, but take it, because x has a new name. You can call me y plus 54, right? Or, well, yeah, you could solve it like that too. They make that a slope form intercept, see? That's from, I made a second line from the teeter-totter, which is how you would do it when you're graphing it. But this is substitution, so I'm just asking you to take your y here and substitute out for this y. That's stuff it up. The y means substitute. So that's what I'm doing now, is make sure that I got those two working that way. So let me try this, move up ahead. So from here you can see all I'm doing is stuffing that x from my teeter-totter into the x of y1 or any of the other one. This one I can even put it in this, the x plus y equals 322. I can put the x there because x has a new name. It's y plus 54, you see. This x, I could plug it in here, or I can plug it in where I put it there. So you can see that is going to be a minus x, but x is equal to, wait a minute, I have to replace that. X is equal to y plus 54. So now I'm going to put that inside where that x used to be. And then I have to bring in the, these, we'll just calculate what y is going to be. So here it is, y minus, y plus 54 equals 322. And so now I take that, and I know that continuing, I'm going to distribute this negative right here, this negative in there, you see. So that's going to change the sign to negative y minus 54 plus 322. And that's going to be, just if I add a y to both sides, you can see I have 2y. And so we'll just do the math there. And so there you have it. And you can see I'm dividing both sides by y, so y equals 134. Now, with that, you can go to the second equation, y2, or you go to your teeter-totter, right? Your teeter-totter's right here. You know what y is, so now you can add 54 to get x, right? Oh, if you add 50 or 184, so it's like 188, right? Should be the, plugging it over here. So let's see what happens now. So dum-diddy-dum-dum-dum. You can do better than that. There we go. Well, I'm not supposed to put it there. I'm supposed to put it in my teeter-totter. But it still works because I know what y is now. So x is 134 equals 322. So I just subtract, and I'll have what my x equals 2. I'm going to subtract 134. And once I subtract the 134, I'll be set. Now I know my variables. Right? So x equals 188. And that's what we want to know. So that's how we solve that one. Alright. Alright, so now you can't see it, but this is y equals minus x plus 322. And well, it has its own keyboard on this one, so I'm filling it up. And now I'm going to do the second equation. This is y equals x. And that one's minus. Nope, I did that wrong. So I made a mistake there. I got to get it back up there, up high. Let me move ahead so that this is a graphing calculator, and I graphed the two lines here. This is y equals x minus 54, and we can see that the solution is in fact 188 or comma 134. See, that worked fine. All right, for the last problem is an investment problem, but this one I want you to show the geometric solution. So the first one's easy because we have two investments, x plus y. And when I look at x plus y, I'm trying to say, well, how much money did I use to invest? Well, you put some of the 600 in x and some of it in y. See, so x, but we don't know. Well, we do know that the total that you invested was 600. So now we put 5% of x plus, this is, okay, so now we have, the other one is it earns 3%, and that's equal to interest, total interest earned. Because this is actually interest times the amount of money you invested in it. Interest times the amount of money invested in y. So now I know that the total interest earned in a year was the 25. So now I have two equations, you see. So one equation I'll just set right easy because I subtract y from both sides. So, okay, so here I set the first one up. You can see it on the top. It's y equals minus x plus 600. And now the other one I want to multiply by 100, you see, to simplify it out. So that when I multiply both sides by 100, you're just going to add zeros to it. So that's going to be 5x plus 3y equals 2500, right? And I've still got to put it in y equals mx plus b form. So that's going to be next. So now I'm putting that in y equals mx plus b form. And there it is, 3y, and I subtract an x of minus 5x. Right, and now to get the y by itself, I just divide both sides by 3. And by dividing by 3, you can distribute it underneath the denominator, right? So let's let it go up to the next leg. So divide by 3. Excuse me. And on the other side, which each common denominator can be on its own. So guess what we have here? we have a minus 4 5/3 slope plus, 2,500 over 3, which is, the 3 goes in there 7 times, right? So it's close to 80 times. 3 times 8 is 240. So anyway, guess what? That's equation number 2, and over here, we've already had equation number 1. So we'd like to graph it, right? So we're going to graph each one. What is it? Okay. Boop, 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 boop. Now, I know that the only place to find the intersection, which is also the solution to the problem, I have to set y1 equal to y2. But they have their own name. What y1 over here is equal to minus x plus 600. And then the other one's a minus 2. Equals minus 5/3 plus 600. Plus 25 over 3. So now I just have to solve for x. In order to do that, I'm just writing it out now. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 3 to clear off the denominator. And so we'll move up for... Okay, so now all I got to do is, I'm just clearing out the 3's. That's easy enough, so I can move. So basically, that's this one being distributed equals this one being distributed. So now I got 5x plus 2,500. And which has the most negative x's? Sorry about that. Well, the most negative is minus 5, so I'm going to add 5x. That'll make sure that I have a positive x, right? So that's just going to leave me 2x plus 2,800 going to be equal to now. There you have it. So we're trying to solve for x, right? So I'll just subtract 1,100. Is that 11,000? Wait a minute. 1,100. 1,000. I have an extra 0 there. No, 1,800. That's right. It's correct. So I have to subtract that from both sides. So you can see what 2x is going to be equal to. Let me move that up here. So I have to subtract 1,800. Not sure why it's taking so long. Subtract 1,800. Come on. Let me move it. Well, once I solve for x, then I can go back to any equation to find my y. Since what I did is I figured out that that's going to be equal to, x is going to be equal to 350. So if you plug it back into here, you can see that the y1 will be equal to 250. And 250 is good. Right, 250. And that's how much of y and how much of x. That's how much of the 600 she invested in each property. And now on to graphing. All right, so now we're going forward. And let's see, this is also... Okay, so now let's try the graph. And you can see that I graphed the two equations. Oh, that was the old one. Now I'm going to put in the new equations in here and look at the graphs. So let me move it. Okay, so now I'm going to graph it. I got the graph of the two equations just about done. And we can look at the intersection, see if that solves the problem. So actually, I need to correct that. It's 250 divided by 3. So now let's take a look at the graph itself and see if we can find a solution. Alright, it looks like there's a little, I can't see it, but there's a gray dot there. And there's the intersection of the two, which corresponds to the 600 million gallons that was left inside. Okay, that should do it. Remember, practice until you get this done by heart. All right, good luck. Bye.